Hello and welcome to the Brighton Heat for the GT, for Warhammer 40k. The location of Brighton Warlords. Everyone's here setting up at the moment. Got a nice mix of armies. We'll go into a little bit more about what the GT is all about in an interview with the event organiser, Peter Cook. Round one will begin very soon.
We'll try and stick by the timetable where possible. That's obviously already gone out the window, so that I'm talking about. But you know, I'll aim to start and stop waffling in about sort of 10 minutes. So I'll aim to start at sort of 1:45. Has anybody in this room not got an opponent?
I don't see anyone. Somewhere.
Hands right up, really high. Okay. That's it. Let's get it on.
Okay, I'm here now with Mike Curry, who's playing Blood Angels with Grey Knight Allies, and he's against club member John, who's got demons. I'm going to get Mike to talk a little bit about what he's using now. Obviously you're playing against John's Nurgle-themed demon army. What's your sort of plans list? I noticed we've got 3 objectives, and is it night fight for the first turn or night fight for the first turn? So what are you hoping to do?
Well, pretty much tactics. I've obviously combat squad is one of the tactical squads, strike squad, sorry. Just give it a 12-inch bomb and get the play off. I've still got the unit 10 there, so pretty much hopefully by the end of round 1 I'm going to make it so you can actually deploy in my tabletop. Or obviously try and suffer a deep fight this out. I'm not too sure what I'm doing with the drop project, because obviously he's got nothing on the board to start with. I'll probably put it down that end because he's not going to want to deploy down here.
Good luck with it. We'll catch up with you a bit later, see how it's going on. All the best, mate. I'm here with John now, and we're going to talk about his demons and what he's going to do to try and take down Mike.
Hi. So I've got mainly Nurgle Demon Army. I've got different marks in there as well. I've got the Horrors, and I've got 2 units of Fiends as well. The rest is Nurgle. The army's based around Epidemius and his tally. So the aim is to try and do as much damage as possible early on in the first wave. So I'm going to put Epidemius, some Blight Drones, and Kugath the Plague Father into the first wave, come down, cause lots of casualties first turn, get the tally up, and then all my Plague Bearers, because I've got about 40 of them, will benefit from that, and then hopefully rinse a day from that, go for the objectives with the troops, and try and hold it out. Mike's army's got a few flyers which I really can't deal with apart from my Blight Drones, so I'm going to pretty much ignore them and just try and go for his troops, so at least it'll be a draw if not a win.
Have you got any way of dealing with flyers outside of the Blight Drones? Anything at all?
Nothing short of a few bolts being fired on 6s to hit, so it's pretty poor to be honest, so I mainly go for the ignore them and try and wipe out the troops. I think that's the best option.
That sounds like a good plan. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Thank you very much, John. Okay, I'm here with Pete now, the founder of Brighton Warlords, and we're going to have a little chat about the tournament today and the GT in general. First of all, I just want to ask you, how long has Brighton Warlords been running?
Since around about 2005. There was generally sort of 3 of us mainly, and we all got red shirts, and that's why I never changed. So it was myself, Dave, and Darren first of all, and then from that really we progressed into other people really sort of helping out in a quite a big way, helping out with the scenery loads.
So it's fair to say a lot of what we see today is not just sort of one person sitting there doing all the work, everyone sort of gets involved.
No, not at all. We're not just about 40k, but we are about generally all the systems. The way I look at it, it's more of a collection of friends and a community. We all sort of try and pitch in, and we all have a good laugh and get together and build the club like that, I think.
So what I'd like to talk about now is the GT itself.
Games Workshop, as most people will know that play 40k, used to run a thing called the Grand Tournament, in which they had 3 heats throughout the year, end of the year, and then if you qualified, come top 50%, then you would be able to go into the final. The GTs were always something, obviously, for the competitive gamer. So they stopped doing that. I think it was in 2009. And they cut it, and they went on this system of Throne of Skulls, which in my opinion was the worst mistake they ever made in competitive gaming.
I think when you say Games Workshop made a bit of a mistake, is it's more for the competitive side of things. I think it's fair to say that there was definitely a demand for that scene and that type of play, and they pretty much kind of just took it away.
They nerfed it, yeah.
Yeah.
That then, I mean, there was always independent tournaments. What ended up happening is it made a resurgence of more tournaments. So then the tournament calendar was crazy with, you know, independent tournaments, because Games Workshop wasn't really doing competitive tournaments as such. Although they were still doing their Throne of Skulls, it wasn't the same as you didn't get ranked.
No.
So if you played 5 games, you might get a best general in a certain category, but you wouldn't know where you come. So that then basically annoyed a lot of people. And then so last year, there was the first sort of independent grand tournament. A committee of guys led it in Mansfield, in Maelstrom Games. And then for this year, it was taken up by a new committee of people. The committee was myself, Alan, who is helping me run, Alan Elsauer, Matt Robertson, he's doing it, Paul Burke, and Rob Sims. A lot of the guys from, you know, well, all of them, bar me, is from not Brighton Warlords. But we all decided, and you know, I think the community as a whole really wanted to bring back the heat system and the final system, because it's such a good system. You know, you know, in essence, you attend one of 3 heats, and then, as I said, if you're up the top 50, then you qualify for the finals. So generally in March you have the should be 150 or so, you know, best players, and from that then you find your sort of champion. That's what the end game is essentially. We've got some decent prize support from KR Multicase and Maelstrom Games, and some cool, really good prizes in ways of trophies. They're really nice trophies.
So I'd just like to ask you now about the actual composition of the tournament itself, how it's all structured, whether certain elements of the game are sort of disallowed, banned, restricted in any way, and how that all works.
Yeah, okay, so we try to stick with as close as possible to the old GT. So whereas before in Brighton events and a ton of other events, you have pre-submission for army lists, so there'll be a deadline you get your list in, you have to have the same list. For the old GTs and indeed what we're doing now, is you don't submit your list till the day. Now obviously that's kind of a double-edged sword. It's great that you can use whatever you want until the last minute. You're like, oh Christ, I really wanted to use that. Now you can. But also, what ends up happening is people might mess their army list up. So, and it happened at another heat where someone messed their army list up. And basically, that's a real shame, because obviously, you know, we're not here to penalise people unnecessarily. But obviously, if you don't follow the rules, then by nature that's going to happen. So it could happen, hopefully it hasn't done, but someone's rushed their list and wrote the wrong thing and not put a list in, and so they'd get dot points, especially if they had an illegal list. So they'd get like minus, I think, 10 points per game they use their list in. I think that's how we're doing it.
Okay, and just to contextualise that that sort of penalty, when you say you get lost 10 points, how is the point system structured in the first place?
You get 30 points for a win and 10 for a draw, and you get 1 if you lose.
But is there anything that you'd like to see differently in either the way it's run or just the way that the composition works?
Obviously, the great thing is I'm on the committee, so I have a say in how it all runs. But then not everyone agrees with me. So, yeah, I mean, the great thing we've done, I think, and it is a good thing, is the allowance of forge-rod units with a 40k stamp on it. I was pushing for, but I didn't get, full allowance on all forge-rod stuff. And the reason is because, in general, most forge-rod stuff, in my opinion, is really overpriced in points terms. As I said, Spartan Assault Tank, it's very expensive, just a big lump. And it's more to sort of help out, because forge-rod stuff is expensive, and people generally don't get to use it much. So I'd like to see them use it. I mean, in all the Brighton Warlords events that I run, I have full allowance on everything like that. And the people that generally bring them are the sort of more people that refer to as fluff players maybe. They don't come to smash and win. They just come for the enjoyment of playing 6 games at the weekend, and they like to use these units they buy from Forge, which are very expensive, because they don't really use them much, and it gives them an opportunity to use them. So that's what that's generally the only sort of thing I probably would have changed. The only thing is about the inclusion of Forge World units, and possibly a few more things on just the ins and outs of rules, but that's only because I like to employ soft scores in rules packs.
Yep.
Just to encourage people to paint their army, and it gives somebody that more points for actually painting their army, and you can show that they put the effort in.
So, is it fair to say then that you're not worried about the negative effects of, in a hypothetical situation, of docking people points for painting and soft scores? You're sort of more for that, and you think that should be enforced a bit better in tournaments generally?
Oh yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Everybody knows what I'm like.
Yeah.
And I do enforce it. But the thing is with me, I think everybody could probably say I am consistent. You know, I'm consistently harsh with people. Like, for instance, the most common thing is probably WYSIWYG, which means what you see is what you get. Now, the way I have done it, and to a lot of people's horror, is they have to have exactly what they have on them.
How do you deal with someone who's actively going out of their way to cheat in a game? How you sort of deal with that, and how you sort of deal with that, and sort of stop it from ruining an event, essentially?
Okay, so a lot of it is obviously in your rules pack, your introductions, about the soft scores and things like that. It generally, as I said, they try to iron it out. As you quite rightly pointed out, you can't always iron out. Introductions at the start, trying to tell people about it. You know, we're here to enjoy it. You know, if you can't resolve things, you know, look at the rule book, ask a ref. And what I generally do, which I don't really see a lot of tournament organisers do, is I literally float around all the time. I'm always going around tables, not now, but I generally walk around, just seeing if everything's okay, and you get a feel. You get a feel when you know that something's going wrong, and then generally you sort of try and keep an eye on it. And you know, if it does come to the point where someone's cheating, take them to one side. Obviously I dealt with a lot of tournaments for the whole time running, Brighton Warlords events, 40k events. You know, I've had to come in here with a few people and have a chat with them, and just try and tell them to calm down, and try and resolve it. You know, we're supposed to be adults, so we try and resolve it in a sensible way. But then sometimes, if you have to, enforce the rules and dock people points, then that's what you have to do. If unfortunately that had to happen in one of our events where, something went wrong for somebody, and then they had to be docked points. So it does happen, but that's unfortunate. You know, we don't set out to do that, but.
No, that's fair enough. So for anyone thinking of running their own event and worried about these sort of obstacles about it, it's all about sort of remaining calm and taking a step back and just dealing with the issue and trying to get people to, as you said, talk about anything that they're not sure about, and then not making so much of a fuss about something if someone is cheating or doing something that is a bit shady, perhaps. Because it's dangerous, I suppose, to sort of say, oh, that person is cheating, because that gets all sorts of negative reactions throughout the room. You can imagine, you hear that and everyone stays a bit quiet and a bit nosy. So it's about sort of just taking it away and dealing with it quietly, and as you say, giving out the penalties if necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit a nail on the head. It is a difficult situation, but you can't be afraid to, go at it. I mean, if someone's, it's, as you say, cheating's a bit of a hard one. We're all here to play a game. And if one person calls another person cheater, obviously they're going to get their back up straight away. And then it's generally, if people start arguing, stop the game at that point, take them aside, ask what the problem is, and point out to the person what they're doing is, if they're not doing it right, or maybe sometimes people, what they tend to do is they think they're right when they're not.
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, they think they know the rules when they don't know them, and they've done it so many times, and they've got it ingrained in themselves. This is how it is when it isn't, or forgetting things. That's another one which is basically can be construed as cheating to some people. But obviously, if someone does forget something, then they forgot.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you can do that for game. Oh, I forgot my reserves.
Yeah, yeah.
When you didn't want them on.
Yeah.
And suddenly your opponent's going, he didn't forget his reserves. You know, you have to do them now. And he said, oh no, my turn's carried on, I'm in the shooting phase, no, I can't do them now. And that sort of stuff, you know.
Yeah. So that leads me to an interesting point, is how far would a game have to go on continuing something? Let's use the reserves example. So say I forgot my reserves. How far would be too late to go back? Because a lot of the card gaming tournaments I went to, they would, one of the a lot stricter in the infractions and the penalties, a lot more black and white on what you can and can't do. Even if I say I forgot something, it's like, no, that you still suffer the penalties for it. So, and they would actually try and revert back to a game state before the infraction occurred. So how far in a game is too late to say, no, we'll take that back and we'll rewind it, and actually you can roll for your reserves now?
It's utterly dependent on the circumstances.
Okay.
It really is. You know, I mean, you can take games back in turns. Or you could say to them the other way, you could say, no, you know, we're not taking it back, we're going to carry on as we are. You have to deal with it. Sounds a bit lawry, but every case you have to deal with them, every situation, by its own sort of merits. And, you know, as long as you're, as I said, as long as you're, it's like you have to be firm but fair. You know, if someone's generally trying to pull one over on somebody, you've got to sort it out.
Okay, 3 minutes left. That's cool. Is that battery or tape?
Tape.
Okay, that's fine. So I suppose the best thing to really say to people on that one is, as long as you're confident and assertive in your dishing out of your decision, then it doesn't. There's no right or wrong answer really. As long as it's appropriate and you stand by what you say.
Yeah, that's the key. Don't dither about. Even if you get it wrong, make a decision and stick by it.
Is there any advice that you would give to anyone wanting to run their own events themselves? They might have a club already, but and try and sort of get the word out about their club. Is there anything you can offer to anyone thinking of running their own tournament or anything like that?
Yeah, you know, obviously, firstly, go for it. You know, don't clash them with my tournaments. But yeah, no, go for it and say, you know, and I'm always, if anyone ever wants to ask me any questions about anything, then, you know, just get hold of me. I mean, obviously, all my details on the Brighton Warlords forum, or, you know, whatever, text me or whatever, or Facebook me. You know, I've got no problem with helping people, talking to people about it. Obviously, you know, and scenery, big thing. Trying to get the best scenery and a lot is difficult because it's expensive and you need a hell of a lot. But that's a good thing for tournaments, because if you have a tournament, lots of players, all great fun, but the scenery's awful, it's a big thing. Like you know, the first thing, you've got armies to play against each other. The second thing is scenery. If that's rubbish, it's not going to be as good. So you need to get the scenery sorted out.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Thanks very much for that, Pete. I'll let you get back to your judging. Thanks a lot.
Right, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. So we're back here with John now and his game, just sort of seeing how it's all going.
We're on turn 4 now. The tally has hit 20. The Epidemius' tally hit 20 by turn 2, rather shockingly, thanks to 2 Blight drones, Kugaths, Nurglings, and some very high dice rolling indeed. By 20, everything that's Nurgle, wounds on 2s, has 3 up, feel no pain, and yeah, it just makes the army virtually unstoppable. Obviously, Mike's now trying to play to take out Epidemius so that tally gets reset, and then I'll go back to being my usual vulnerable self. But unfortunately, Epidemius is now sat at the back of the battlefield, tucked away behind a wall on an objective. So I'm now throwing everything forward and trying to remove what's left from play. And as I thought, I've got 2 Storm Ravens flying around shooting me up, and there's nothing I can do really about it whatsoever.
Yes, I noticed there is a lack of the Blight drones now.
There is, yeah. I mean, Mike obviously realised their threat after 1 turn of firing, did what he could. Didn't take down either, though, so they got a second round of firing. 1 shot took out an entire death company, and then they went down to Melter Fire, so that's the end of them. But the damage has been done by them, I'm afraid.
Back over on this side of the table now with Mike, and I hear it's not going particularly well. What's happened?
Yeah, pretty much drones, large blast templates, not scattering at all. AP2, pretty much wiping out everything. I mean, to be honest with you, I was expecting a normal demon list with flamers, discs, that sort of thing, which is why I pretty much went for the Grey Knights for the Warp Quake, as I said before. Turn 1, it pretty much killed 7 of the Grey Knights in one unit. The other unit of 5 were wiped out completely.
You mentioned the Warp Quake again. Is it just not come into play at all this game?
No, I mean, he's not needed to bring it into play. I mean, obviously he's got his drones at the back, which he's just lobbing loads of stuff over, and he makes sure he brings him stuff down, where he can stay well away from me. So yeah, I mean, now obviously I'm down to a couple of men. He's starting to get his last lot of reserves on next turn and everything else. So yeah.
What are you hoping for now then at this point?
Well, I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, I've got the objective over here. I've still got a Storm Raven, and that's Storm Raven. So they're pretty much going to go across and blast everything out of his troops, and then try and steal the second objective, which should still get a win if I can get the second objective, that is. But yeah, I mean, I've still got 7 Grey Knights, Coautiers, and 2 Storm Ravens to go over there, and I think he's probably got about 6 or 7 troop choices left, because everything else around him is elites. And then hope that it ends on turn 5.
Yes. Well, that's good. There's a game plan, and there is still hope. That's good. Well, good luck. All the best.